chamber, 19 degrees outside apparently. A wee bit cooler in here, but we'll start with the roll call. So Alderman McMorris, Alderman Montgomery,
here,
Alderman Wilkinson,
here,
Councillor Boggs,
and Shaw Karen online.
Councillor Boyle, Councillor Clark,
and Shaw,
Councillor Deeney, Councillor Duffy,
Shaw,
Councillor Farrell,
Here.
Councillor Harkin, Councillor Heaney,
apologies,
Councillor Hutton,
Shaw,
Councillor McDaid, and Councillor Tierney.
Online, Karen.
Okay, thank you, members.
All right, item number 3, broadcasting statement. I would like to remind everyone physically present at this meeting or in attendance remotely that this meeting will be broadcast live to the internet and will be capable of repeated viewing. This broadcast may be terminated or suspended in accordance with our protocol. Due to your attendance at this meeting, you're consenting to being filmed and to the use and storage of those images for broadcasting or training purposes and for the purpose of keeping historical records and making those records available to the public. Members and approved speakers are reminded to only have their mics and cameras on while speaking at the meeting and to use the chat facility to highlight a request to speak. A copy of the council privacy notice may be found on the council website. All right, and item number 4 is declarations of members' interests. We can do it now or as we go. Have we any now? No? Okay, so we will move on to our deputation and we are going to get an update from Angel Eyes on the progress on the QR code campaign, and I would like to welcome Sarah McCracken.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me today to give you a progress update on the QR code campaign. So will I go straight into it now?
Yeah, that would be great, Sarah. Thank you.
Okay, so I'd just like to say thank you for having me, and my name's Sarah McCracken and I'm the CEO of Angel Eyes. Rebecca Sony would have been with me today. Unfortunately, she's on extended leave due to a family circumstance, so can't join us here today. But I will do my very best to give you a really good update. Next slide, please. So I'm here today to update you. So really, this campaign started in September 2023, and this will outline the progress that we've made to date. So next slide, please. So just to give you a little bit of background to this, the QR code campaign was launched and based on feedback from our young people with visual impairments. And really the aim was to advocate for QR code implementation in hospitality and tourism venues to improve accessibility and independence. So visual impairment is a disability that is not terribly obvious, especially a visual impairment as opposed to being blind. And our young people can very often feel unsupported. The research would show that they're 3 times more likely to experience emotional and mental health well-being difficulties, and they consistently express feelings of isolation. Our young people, when they come into our services, our youth advocate will meet them for a one-to-one, and we go through the same kind of assessment with them. And one of the things we're always looking to see if there's anything that we can help them with, or what gaps in services could be easily addressed to improve their life experience. And a reoccurring issue at the time that the service was in its infancy, which they started in August 2023, was the QR codes, and that QR codes were beginning to disappear after being used so widely during the time of COVID and the lockdown. And the effect of the QR codes for our young people was improved independence. So they were able to see the menu, access it through assistive technology, and they felt that it reduced their feelings of anxiety. That's what they expressed to us in going going out and about and being able to enjoy a social life like everybody else. So this presentation will show you the key milestones and achievements and our next steps. Next slide, please. So Derry and Strabane, Derry City and Strabane District Council, as you know, is a visually aware space, which was a motion which was first brought by Mayor Councillor Duffy in February 2022. So we really started to become aware that this was an issue in September 2023, shortly after our youth service was developed, and we did an initial outreach to other stakeholders in this space. So, for instance, Department of Health, RNIB, Now Group, Ulster, Hospitality Ulster, Tourism Northern Ireland and Visit Belfast. We didn't actually get very much back, but we were continuing a conversation with RNIB. So while we didn't get any immediate results, we were still sort of working on the background and still gathering feedback from our young people. In May 2024, we had a meeting with RNIB and their campaigns officer, Michal, and really to explore what a collaboration could look like with all of our young people. And they were very excited, RNIB, to also take that on, as I know they were very instrumental in the visually aware space motion that had gone previously. In July 2024, the young people co-authored a council motion alongside our partners, and in August 24, the motion was supported by Alderman Middleton and unanimously approved by the council, which was great news. In the photograph on the slide here, it was the meeting where our young people from Angel Eyes met with Mayor Lillian to talk about their own experiences and really to bring the campaign to life. And in November 24, myself and Rebecca met with the Derry City and Strabane District Council Environmental Health to discuss how we would roll this out. I suppose our aim was really that it would be rolled out and easily and cheaply, and we just want to ensure that anything that we do is really simple to roll out, so that it is rolled out basically, and that there was no costs associated. That was really key to us, to the hospitality and tourism venues. So in December 24, I'm sure you remember, Karen Wilson and Rebecca Sony attended a special health and community committee meeting to discuss more about the services of Angel Eyes and the QR code. And in February 25, we started to get our documents finalised, and with the hope to showcase them to yourselves. So if you go to the next slide, please. So the key achievements to date are the council motion was passed, obviously supporting the QR code implementation. And I suppose the key thing is that the young people have engaged in policy change and advocacy for themselves, which is really important, and really is very, you know, it's really given all of them a boost, and to know that they have, you know, their voice has been heard, which is fantastic, and we hope that that will go from strength to strength. Recognition from councils and public sector representatives of the QR code and how it improves inclusive practice, and the guidance documents that we have produced for hospitality and tourism venues. So they are now available on the Angel Eyes NI website. Next slide, please. So this on your screen, you will see a multicolored QR code, and that is a NaviLens QR code. That is an app that you can download for free, and it will produce a QR code. So I wanted to, you can use that now if you're in the chamber, and that will bring you to our QR codes section on our website, where the documents can now be accessed for free. So with NaviLens, you can get 10 free codes, and information on those codes can be changed. So therefore, if you have menu changes or anything like that, they can be They can be viewed at 160 degrees, so where you don't need to hold your camera completely steady and completely face on. This can be it doesn't have to be that accurate. So again, making it very easy for those with a visual impairment to be able to access it. So just to give you a bit of info on this, people that are using NaviLens are TransLink, so it's all over Grand Central Station in Belfast. NaviLens has been used, Coca-Cola, Kellogg's, Nestle, Pantene. So they're all moving to this, and they are very easy to use. One of the concerns about QR codes is the overlaying of scam QR codes. So therefore, if somebody was to go and to scan it with their camera, scammers can overlay another one that will take you to another website. So they can't do that with NaviLens, which is very reassuring. So it makes it very cyber secure. Next slide, please. So So the resources that we have on our website are how to make the accessible menu checklist, how to make an accessible QR code, and sample menus. And again, you'll see another QR code. So this is one that has been generated in a different way, which is free of charge, which you can do straight from your website through Google. And on the documents, so the accessible menu checklist is really just easy strategies for accessibility of documents, i.e. font size, spacing, text, font, that kind of things. Just really easy strategies that anybody can implement. How to make an accessible QR code. So what a good menu looks like. So that's on it, and how to make the accessible QR code, as I've discussed with NaviLens and Google, and where to display the QR code. And then finally, there's sample menus. So that's just a visual of what a good menu looks like. And so this is also for things like screen readers, and also for those that won't use screen readers, but they're able to use their assistive technology to access them. So good and not so good menus on that. Next slide, please. So the next steps are really a social media campaign to highlight that the Derry City and Strabane Council have implemented, or have passed the motion for QR codes, that we're working with yourselves to implement that into hospitality and tourism. And obviously that social media campaign will be to encourage venues to take on the QR code. It is a no cost to them way of making their venues more inclusive. We would like to reach out to other council areas, and we will continue to update and ensure that the information that we supply on our website is up to date and obviously free of charge. We'd also like to think about perhaps doing a case study in the Derry and Strabane area to maybe highlight a hospitality venue that is using a QR code, and maybe have some of our young people. That will be really with conversation with yourselves. So the other thing that we are thinking of, which has come from our young people, is maybe to include a floor plan on the QR code as well. So for toilets and things like that, which again just reduces nervousness and anxiety for young people with a visual impairment being independent. Next slide, please. So that's really concluded what I wanted to present today, and I hope that you find it interesting. So it's really exciting that we're keep moving towards accessibility for those with a visual impairment, and that you have you have the motion of being a visually aware city, and that this obviously progresses that further. It really does build confidence and increase independence for our young people, and it is creating impact and change for our young people. And just finally, I'd like to say thank you very much for having me today. This QR code will take you to our Get in Touch page if you would like any more information or indeed to get in touch with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sarah. I'm going to hold on to you a second and I'm going to just open it up to the floor for some questions. Councillor McDade.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Sarah. I actually don't have any questions, just a comment. A few things just to say thank you for your presentation. It's great to see movement on this. It was me brought the motion around the QR codes last summer, and sometimes motions are brought and things are very slow for various reasons. So it's actually great to see that there's so much movement on this going forward, and probably because it's driven by young people. Everything is just, the passion is brilliant. And I suppose I just wanted to mention there's a few photos on there, and I was lucky to meet with Rebecca and the young people and Michael and Rory and with the mayor a few months ago as well, and they really are a credit to themselves and to their families, and Rebecca to your organisation as well. So I just wanted to put that in record.
Yes, great. Thank you.
I'm delighted to see it progressing, and I'm really looking forward. I actually whenever I found out and when I met with them to write the motion, I couldn't believe that it wasn't in place. It seems like something so straightforward and so simple. So I'm so happy to see that it's moving forward and that the city will be accessible for our young people to be able to enjoy the brilliant places they can go out and socialise and eat and enjoy here in our city and district. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor McDade. Councillor Hilton.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Sarah, for coming on here today and giving us a further update in relation to the QR code initiative. And you did mention that back in 2022, my colleague Sandra Duffy had brought the motion to make Derry a visually aware friendly city. And I suppose from I have come on the post, we had done a bit of work around creating making the Ryan McBride Brandywell Stadium a wee bit more visually friendly through the Soccer Side app. So we do talk about visual impairment and blindness and how it's affecting the citizens here across our district. And I think it's something that we should keep talking about and that we need to keep on making improvements and thinking about it at development stages and planning stages instead of thinking about it afterwards and saying, God, we should have done this, we should have done that. So the Angel Eyes motion that Councillor McDade brought was a brilliant motion, and it has come around fast, and it is because young people, the voices of our young people are very important, and it's really important as well that we create communities that help them thrive and develop to the best of their ability. I just have a question. In relation to visitors to our district, our city and district here, will the QR codes have like a multilingual or like multi-sensory parts to it? And I know it's in the early stages, but I do think that at some stage maybe that could be thought about visitors that are coming into the cities and districts from other places, and also the public transport side of it. And I know Grand Central Station has began operating with their QR codes there, but it's something that we would want to look at locally here as well, because one person in particular who I know is visually impaired relies on parents and siblings to give them a lift everywhere they go because they're not confident enough to get on the public transport. So I think maybe that's worth exploring, and maybe us looking at that and seeing how we can work with yourselves that way also. It just enables young people to access more youth services and go up the town at the weekends with their friends. But just to say a massive thank you for the work that you've done to date, and it'll be exciting to see how this progresses as well. So Sarah, thanks a million to you and the team.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to touch on that point that you made there about the translation, the multilingual. With the QR codes, there is so much potential to do so much more. So by the very nature of adapting the menus for visually impaired, you are actually making them more accessible for those that are neurodiverse and maybe have sensory processing issues. So there is a whole audience of other people that in your city that we're not even mentioning that will use the QR code, but absolutely QR codes can be the, you know, the gateway to so much information and so much accessibility, whether that's to do with a disability or whether that's to do with language barrier or sensory processing. So yes, that is all absolutely doable through a QR code.
That's great. Thank you so much for clarifying that, Sarah. I have Councillor Duffy.
Thank you, Chair, and Sarah, thank you for the presentation. And I just want to speak from maybe a personal angle. Just my colleague has spoke about the presentation, but as somebody who has a visual impairment and has it for many, many years, I have to say the advances in where we're at has been tremendous. When I was first diagnosed with sight loss, I had an assessment and was given a dome magnifier and zoom text on my computer. Both really grateful for them at the time, but I have to say since the invention, and this is going to make me sound very old, the invention of smartphones, the difference that has made in me being more independent myself in terms of reading menus and being able to take photographs of things and zooming in and zooming into documents and all the rest of it has been absolutely fantastic. The QR code for menus and for everything around our city and district is something that I really, really welcome because I myself will benefit from it. We talk about young people, and absolutely it should be about young people being allowed to be as independent as they possibly can be and us enabling that. But for older people who have sight impairments and sight loss, I think it's going to be a great thing. Aisling talked about the bus services and public transport. I rely myself on public transport, and only last week I got on the wrong bus because I couldn't see which bus it was, and it was only that somebody got on the bus and asked the bus driver where it was going that I realised and had to get off. So there's loads of things there, but I want to just commend Angel Eyes for all the work that they have been doing and the advances that they have been taking, and for the young people involved that are coming up with new and innovative ways to overcome these challenges. Because I know when I was first diagnosed with sight loss, it was a devastating diagnosis and one that you wonder what your next step is and how your life's going to go on. But it's great to see these young people looking at ways that they can improve things for themselves. So absolutely, look, if you could pass on my congratulations to everybody that's been involved. I, for one, am very grateful for the work that's going on. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. That's great, and I absolutely will. And just touching on the ageing population, we are seeing increased levels of visual impairment due to our ageing population and lifestyle choices. And I'm sure none of you will be any stranger to the fact that we have the highest rate of age-related macular degeneration and the highest rate of diabetic retinopathy, both of which impact our older generations. So you're absolutely right. And with the invention of smartphones, obviously, everything has become much more accessible, but we're also looking at an aging population that are tech savvy. So these initiatives will absolutely help our older population too. It also takes away the stigma of disability because a QR code's something very discreet, can be, you know, nobody needs to know. And I think that's the beauty of it as well. It really does increase independence. But thank you very much, and I will absolutely pass on everybody's kind words.
That's great. Thank you so much, Sarah. And as you said, it sort of seems like something that's so simple, but it makes such a difference to a lot of people. So thank you so much, and thank you for the quick movement on the issue. It's just to remind all members that there is Angel Eyes training on the 28th of April at 11 o'clock in the Whitaker Suite. Just while we're talking about it now, Sarah, I thought it was a good reminder for everybody.
Yes.
But thank you so
Thank you.
much, and commend everything that you're doing. And you're more than welcome to stay and listen on, but you are free to leave if you like to as well.
I will leave, but I just want to say again, thank you so much, and it'll be lovely to see as many as possible on the training day on the 28th, which will be with our virtual reality headsets, and will be delivered by an eye clinician. So it's really, really good training, even though I say so myself. So, but thank you very much indeed.
That's great, Sarah. Thank you so much. We're really looking forward to it.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Thank you. All right, members, we're going to move on to item number 6, and that is chairperson's business. And I have Councillor McDade first.
Thank you, Chair. I am going to try and keep this brief. This is about the swimming lessons, the council swimming lessons in the council are on gyms. And the only, I suppose it's to do with the system of booking it. Chair, yourself and I have spoke about trying to get our younger kids on for their kind of first set, and the process of you just have to keep an eye on the Facebook page to see when they're going to be released and then get on. And I know Arena was last Wednesday, I think, and it was 4 o'clock, I think 4:02 I went on and there was none available. My older boys, one of them finished level 4 and he was on at 5:30 on a Friday. I went at 5:20, got a slip to say he's moved to level 5, and when I went out to book it, there was no slots available after 5 o'clock any day of the week. They had all been taken throughout the week, and it's just, there has to be a better way of working it. There has to be a better system. Now, we booked him in at a 4 o'clock slot earlier in the week, and we just had to do that, but only because we have flexibility with grandparents being able to kind of help us out. But for working parents, that's not feasible. And I appreciate it's maybe not for anyone in this chamber to sort, but I wanted to raise it because it's really frustrating. And he's 8, so this has been 4 years we've kind of been doing it, and there's always something. And I've another boy coming, and the only slot I could get for him on level 3 was Friday at 5:30. So I'm going to have the same problem again in June whenever he's moving. It's just that kind of, is there no way of organising it so that if you're in 5:30, you keep that slot even no matter what time you move up? Is there something more practical that can be thought about the system of how the booking is done? Because it's a really, in my opinion, it's one of the essential skills. My boys do loads of sports and loads of different ones, and if they wanted to give any of them up, I wouldn't push it on them because they're only 4, 6 and 8. But swimming is one that I will, because it's a life skill that they need to have, and we need to be making it as accessible as possible for working parents, because between 2 and 4, whatever time they start at, just won't work for anyone who's working full time. So I just wanted to raise it because I know there will be other parents. I wasn't the only one standing in the queue flabbergasted that there was no times available. And I suppose also, and I do want to mention that the staff are brilliant, the instructors are brilliant, especially Garvin and Catherine, who are the 2 in charge over in Full Arena. They really are incredible. The staff are really accommodating and can be as flexible as possible, but I feel that there just needs to be something done with the booking system to improve it for parents. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair. And look, I'll not go into detail around it, Catherine. There are many parents and people that book it over many years have shared the frustration with the system. It all comes down to the problem of the supply and the demand around them all. We try our best to balance the programme across all our sites, but members will be aware we allocate a significant amount of time to clubs in the pool and also to public swimming, and we have a window now. We have increased that over recent years in terms of the swimming lessons. So the answer to that, we have looked at all sorts of weird and wonderful booking systems to try and make it as equitable as possible, but just simply because we don't have enough pool time. If we were able to double the pool time, there would still be issues, but we believe that we could solve a lot of it. So it's not so much the booking system, it's the demand on our swimming pools. And you know, in terms of the number of hours that our clubs, a couple of clubs take a significant number of hours up, and then we leave it open for public swimming. So look, I'll take the information back to the team as well to see, but this wouldn't be the first time we've received that. And we have set for many hours to try and resolve this, and come to the same conclusion all the time in terms of the demand and compared to the supply that we have, you know, in terms of pool time.
Thank you, Barry. And I know this is no one's fault, and I know this is an ongoing kind of problem, but I was so frustrated that I was like, I have to raise it because I wouldn't have been the only one who's so frustrated by it. And sure, when we get Templemore built, it'll be great and we'll not have to worry about this. So let's just get that moving. Thank you.
That's great, thank you. And thank you, Barry, for clarifying that. I know we had a brief conversation about it last month as well, but it is frustrating, 100%, Councillor McDade. All right, next piece of chairperson's business is Councillor Duffy, and then Councillor Farrell on the same issue after.
Thank you, Chair, for allowing me in, and I know Councillor Farrell has indicated as well on this issue. I think it's a really important issue that we raised today at our Health and Communities Committee, and it is the Northland Centre and the loss of core funding for the service. I think, like everybody and probably the City and District, we were quite shocked I'm really disappointed to hear that Northland Centre was losing the core funding that they absolutely rely on to run their services. I think as a city and district, we know it is a competitive process, but we also know the work that the Northland Centre does. And I certainly don't know very many families that haven't been touched by the work that they do. And indeed, I know many people that are here because of the services that they have received through the Northland Centre. It absolutely, it does life-saving work, and there's absolutely no doubt about that. We know that addiction services in the city are stretched. We know that there are many issues within our communities around addiction and mental health, but the two at times can come hand in hand, and that is why it is really important that we have these services. We have in this chamber talked about a mental health crisis. We have talked about the scourge of addiction within our communities. We have talked about the need for more and adequate services. So I think that that has just led us to be really shocked at this decision around the Northland Centre. I know that my colleague Ciara Ferguson has been in contact with the Northland Centre to discuss the issues that they are going to be facing and the impact that this loss of core funding is going to have on them. But likewise, we have asked and we are hoping to meet with them over coming days just to discuss that. But we know that right across our communities, we're seeing it every day. If you're in the community, you're seeing the issues around addiction. So we can't afford for any services to be lost. And we know that there are people out there that are really worrying about the impact that this is going to have. So my suggestion, Chair, is that we write to the Health Minister. We ask him to reconsider this decision. We outline the concerns that we have in relation to the loss of funding for the Northland Centre. We need more services, not less. We need more funding coming into this area, not less. So if we could also, as a council, meet with the Northland Centre to discuss their needs and see if there's any support that we can be giving them in the days and weeks ahead as they find their way through this challenging period for them. I am willing to put that in an email to yourself, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy, 100%. And if you could just send that over to Paula so we can pop it on the screen. Councillor Farrell.
Yep. Thank you, Chair, and I'm happy to second Councillor Duffy's proposal. I think everybody can agree that it's an absolutely disgraceful decision that resulted in the Northland Centre losing its funding. It's a vital service, it's an invaluable service that helps people struggling with addiction and their families right across this city and district. You know, the investment should be increased, not stripped away. And it should be worth noting that the programme for government, which sets out the priorities and the plans for the future from the Northern Ireland Executive, was 120 pages. It didn't mention addiction once. And that's an absolute disgrace as well. So we support the letter going to the Health Minister, but what we have to recognise is this is an issue for the entire Executive, not just the Health Minister. Addiction should be a priority. Tackling addiction should be a priority. So we would suggest that that letter goes to the First and Deputy First Ministers as well. Thank you.
All right. I think, sorry, Alderman Hussey, I think Councillor Harkin was on there before you. So Councillor Harkin.
Thank you, Chair, and fully support the proposal. And I agree with Councillor Farrell. I think that this should go to the First Minister and the Deputy First Minister as well. I think people were shocked when they read in the Derry News that that the core funding for the Northern Centre had been cut. And I want to commend the Derry News actually for making sure that people found out about this, because it's exactly what people need to know about. And I've spoken to the Northern Centre as well, and representatives there, and they are, you know, it's a devastating cut. They have a lot to say about this. They're obviously okay right now because they have some resources, but their services are not sustainable into the future unless they receive core funding. So there's an issue with the pot of money that they were able to access in the past and how that's been narrowed down for them in terms of the servicing or helping people with addiction. But I think it speaks to a broader crisis where this is a huge issue for people and families right across our district, where we have unfortunately have worse health outcomes than many places across the north and across Britain. And we actually need more resources going to help people with addiction. We need services like the Northern Centre fully funded and backed up. And this is the opposite of that. And we have said time and time again, we can't afford to lose any services in our city that help people with addiction, who are facing addiction and dealing with addiction. We can't afford to lose any services that are helping people with ill mental health. And here we are now with one of the main organisations that has helped so many people and are helping so many people right now facing uncertainty about their ability to kind of support people into the future. So I do think we have to write to the Health Minister. I think we have to look at what mechanisms are in place to actually properly fund organisations like the Northern Centre. This can't be done on a year-to-year basis. There needs to be certainty that this organisation will exist and will be backed up properly. And look, people are looking at what's happening in our society, disability cuts, which will impact people's mental health. And it's going to be organisations like the Northern Centre that are absolutely vital going forward to helping people through that. So it just seems like, there's money being spent on arms manufacturers. There's not money being spent on the Northern Centre. We talked recently about the fact that big organisations, including arms manufacturers who have big profits, get massive grants and rate cuts every year from Stormont that's paid out of the block grant. And here's an example of a desperately needed service not getting funded. So there's something wrong with the way that Stormont operates, not just this decision. Fully support the motion. And I want to send my solidarity to the Northern Centre and everybody that is dependent on the Northern Centre as well. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Harkin. Alderman Hussey.
Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity to come in. I'm not a member of the committee. Your Ulster Unionist colleagues on council support the comments that are coming through, and indeed contact has been made directly with the Health Minister on this particular issue. We are aware that the assessment of application for funding was not done through the Health Department. It was done via NICFA, who were invited to actually draft out the new criteria for funding. So, there are questions for NICFA to answer here as to what has really happened and why Northland have found themselves in the situation that they do find themselves in. I haven't had a chance to talk to Tommy or anyone else involved at the moment, personally. I do know through communication we've had from Minister Spad that there is planned that the Minister will pay a visit to the site to consider the situation that has evolved with regard to the Northland site. Other than that, we have no further information at the moment, but I can assure colleagues in council that our grouping does share the concerns that have been expressed in chamber, and we are following it up. We followed it up directly with the Minister. I'm not sure if anyone has had a chance to engage directly with Northland yet. I think maybe Darren has, but as I say, contact with the Minister and an assurance that the Minister is aware of the scenario and plans to visit the city and look into that particular issue. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Alderman Hussey. Are we all content with the motion? Councillor Farrell?
I had suggested when I seconded the motion that this was an issue for the entire executive. Addiction, the causes of addiction are the responsibility of the entire executive to resolve. And this proposal is inviting the health minister to address this. It's a lot wider, because there's a finance element, etc., etc. So we think that the first and deputy first ministers should chip in here, to be honest. And so we had asked that 3 ministers be included in this correspondence, and Paula wants me to put that in writing, and that's fine. And in terms of ask council officers to contact the Northland Centre, would it be an idea? I know they're probably under a hell of a lot of pressure at the minute, given this Fulton bombshell, but to invite Northland Centre in here for a delegation as well, so we can understand firsthand, the excellent work that they do. So we agree with the proposal, we support the proposal, but maybe it could be refined slightly, and I'm happy to do that very, very quickly.
Do you want to send that over, or are you going to go up, Rory, and we'll throw it up on the screen then? Councillor Duffy?
Chair, just before Rory butchers it. Happy with the delegation, but I do think that there should be a meeting with the council officers in the Northland Centre separately as well, yeah. And as for sending the letter to the first and deputy first minister, I don't have any issue with that, but the health budget is the health budget, and the health minister has over half the budget and needs to prioritise.
All right, we'll edit this now and we'll come back to it, sure. Okay, are we content, Councillor Duffy?
Should it not say OFM, DFM?
Do you want to edit it?
Yeah, if it could be edited to OFM, DFM.
Do you want to come up? Okay, are we content? Yes, Councillor Boyd. Councillor Harkin, are you happy enough to second that amendment as well?
I am, Chair. Thanks.
Perfect, thank you. Brian?
Chair, thank you for allowing me in, and fully support the proposal that's before us. Unfortunately, organisations across our city and district, like Northlands, all too often find themselves in a similar position where funding becomes very, very difficult. I agree with Councillor Farrell in his relation to the letter going to the Executive Office, but I would suggest that there's wider societal benefits from the work that Northlands do and the support that Northlands offer people. And I would suggest that we also include the Justice Minister in the correspondence and the Minister for Communities, because it's my view that their resources in terms of the staff that they support and their budgets will have a clear benefit when there's less people across our city and district struggling with addiction. For example, more people struggling with addiction means more people arriving at A&E and potentially means more police officers manning A&E to support the staff there. If those people aren't struggling with addiction, those police officers aren't there and they're out on the beat. That's a saving in my eyes to the Justice Department. And I believe that the wider societal issues should be included in this, and those two ministers should be included in this correspondence. And we look at a cross-departmental way of trying to support Northlands and other organisations out there who support people struggling with addiction and mental health issues. Thank you.
Councillor Duffy.
Chair, just want to say we're now looking to write to everybody and their mother. In terms of this issue, it was an issue that came from a decision that came from the Department for Health, which was why we were writing for the Department for Health. No issue with writing to the Executive Office, because we'll bring it to the executive table as well. I think that we're covered here. If we're going to extend it, we need to extend it to the British Government as well, who provide the block grant, which is creating the real budgetary issues that we're facing here. So at this point, I think that the proposal we have on the floor is adequate.
Are we all content with the proposal on the floor right now as is? Yes. Okay. Right. That's great. Is anybody else on the issue now, or is that us? Yep. Okay. Thank you for that. Okay. Item number 7 is matters arising from the open minutes of Health and Community Committee held on Thursday, the 13th of March, pages 13 to 28. Alderman Hussey.
Thank you for the opportunity, Chair. HC 59/25, page 15. The phase 2 engagement feedback from the Derrick Active project. It's identified there that one of the issues people were concerned about was slippery pavements. Now, I had noticed when walking across on the new paving reference, the Factory Girls site that has been developed, it does seem to be a rougher style pavement than we have in Castlereagh Town Centre. Are there any plans for remediation of that particular surface? I know it says, that it will be taken on board going forward on phase 2 developments. But is there anything that might be in the pipeline with regard to addressing the slippy surface that has been identified? And secondly, the street furniture. Is there any indication that further seats will be provided with backs and seating on top of them, as has been done on 3 or 4 of the seats on site? And finally, the Green Infrastructure Manager was to provide Councillor Boggs with technical details. Could those be forwarded? And also to, I would suggest, all of the dare grips with regard to that as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Alderman Hussey. I'll just bring Karen in to answer some of your questions.
Members, just to confirm, we are doing testing and reviewing the specification detail of the phase 1 surface to obviously ensure that we inform phase 2. I know that process is underway. I'm not aware of what the outcome of that is. In terms of the benches and seating, yes, observed that they've been changed and they are more distinctive and they do stand out in contrast with the surfacing. And I would assume that the learning from that is going to carry forward into further phases of the project. So we'll ask that the project steering groups are updated in detail, and obviously those are open to members as well to attend. And yes, certainly we'll ask Colin to circulate technical information if it's available.
Appreciate that, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Hussey. Councillor McDade. Are we content to move on? Yep, Councillor McDade.
Thank you. It's just on HC 6525, the Northern Ireland Football Fund, and it's just to congratulate the two Derry teams who made it to the under-12 Northern Ireland final yesterday. Was it yesterday? I think it was. St Colum's College and Lisneal. St Colum's came out on top on the day, so I think it just goes to show how brilliant our grassroots football is and how important it is to invest in it, because those were year 8s and it's the 3rd year in the trot that school have won it. So just to congratulate them, congratulate both schools and both teams, but a special shout out to the college, I think, for winning, and suggest maybe the mayor might write to them, congratulate them, and maybe offer a reception. Thank you.
Perfect, that's great. So we'll ask Lillian if we can get that sorted. Perfect, that's great. Thank you so much. Okay, any other matters arising? Time to move on. Perfect. Item number 8 is progress on UNICEF Child Friendly Cities and Communities Programme and Children's Services Cooperation Act, and Barry is going to take us through this.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose is to update you on the progress of UNICEF UK child-friendly cities and communities and to seek your approval to reprofile the remaining budget. Members, you'll be aware we've been actively on this journey since 2019 around UNICEF child-friendly cities and communities. And also we had an update in Health and Community Committee in October last year with details around UNICEF's 3rd progress review. This was given an amber rag rating, and you'll see that in Appendix A to reflect the progress reviewed. The progress review meetings held on the 1st and 2nd of October. Further to this, all partners have been meeting regularly to address the recommendations outlined and engaging with UNICEF. The expectation now, members, is that the recognition assessment will take place over one full day, and the panel will consist of 9 persons. They will meet the senior management of council alongside senior management teams of other lead partners listed in section 2.3. Alongside senior management teams, it's anticipated that the mayor, the elected member, political champions, along with children and young people, are also invited and their voices heard throughout the assessment day. Members, you'll see under the key issues section a wee bit around the funding, the previously agreed budget and category headings required member approval for any variances. So to allow for operational management of this budget, a request is made to consider combining budget categories including market and youth events, venue hire, hospitality, etc. into one programme cost budget category to allow for flexibility and expedient decisions in relation to the programme spend. It's therefore planned to spend the remaining 58,269 in 3 tranches, 31,107 and 25-26, 27,162 in 26-27 financial years. So in terms of recommendation, members, that you note the contents of the report and you approve the reprofile of the remaining budget of £58,269.47 to support and sustain programme related costs for children and young people, including the mandatory elements of the UNICEF CFC programme for youth, and that's up to March 27. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Barry. Councillor Hutton.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks, Barry, for the report. I'll propose the paper and the reprofiling of the budget. And I just wanted to make a note of the work that has been done to date. I'm one of the political champions, and there has been a vast amount of work done in relation to this, Barry, as you well know. And it's just to commend Claire Lynch, who has left the organisation, and to wish Claire Maguire the best of luck going forward. With the pleasure of meeting Claire during a training session there a few weeks back, and her energy and passion showed throughout the meeting. So it's to wish the team the best of luck in getting prepared for the recognition assessment, and to let them know that we're all behind them as political champions, and I'm sure the young people are all behind them as well, because they're giving them a great voice in relation to shaping this place to be a child rights city. So happy to propose the paper and best of luck going forward. Looking forward to seeing the progress in this one.
Thank you, Councillor Hutton. Councillor McDade.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks, Barry. I am happy to second the paper. Like Aisling, I'm one of the political champions as well, and the work has been unbelievable getting here. There's been a lot and a lot of meetings and a lot of kind of to and froing. And wish Claire Lynch all the best as well. And I know Claire Maguire had said at our last meeting they're hoping she'll be able to come whenever it is all kind of coming together, come in for the day and see, because she had put so much into it before she did leave. I just wanted to make 2 points. I know that everyone will have received an email from Claire Maguire yesterday with a survey attached to it, just encouraging everybody to complete the survey because that is part of the kind of process that we have that information. And then she had asked just that we put a shout out to the council staff as well about the e-learning on the child's rights impact assessment training that can be done as well, because we have a goal of getting everyone trained by 2027. So just to put that out there as well. But happy to second the paper. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor McDade. Alderman Hussey.
Chair, was interested to hear Councillor McDade refer to that she is one of the political champions. I just wonder who are the others? That's the first point. There's Darren. There you go. I'm delighted. I'm delighted for Darren. I also thank you for that information, Sandra. You didn't get on the wrong bus that time. 2.6 refers to the Children's Service Corporation Act, which came to effect in December, and that is to promote cooperation between the various authorities and service providers, etc. So I have to ask myself, the UNICEF UK license costs £25,000 per annum. What do we get back out of that? Or is it just you've got a license to drive the car, but you drive the car yourself? And I think to myself, would it be better if that 25,000 was used by council itself to develop programs which the Act is actually saying should be doing anyway? So I'm not 100% sure of the value of the license. I appreciate the work that's being done, but there's only 10,000 of the contribution to them. I think it's 35 to them and 25 for the license and 10 in revenue costs. So where does that other 25 go? Or as I say, is that just here's your license, you go on ahead and drive the car? Thank you.
Through yourself, Chair, that money goes to UNICEF in terms of support over the process over many years. So if you don't pay that, then we won't be recognised. You won't be able to apply and into the system in terms of a UNICEF child-friendly city and community. So that money goes to UNICEF, and it's part of their resourcing around the project and how they work with other cities and ourselves.
Just a final comment on that then, but that does not still prevent you doing the work that you would do anyway.
Well, I suppose there are two different aspects to it. The order, I suppose, is the legislative piece, and we provide our information in terms of what we more generally as a council do in terms of supporting children and young people. The UNICEF is a specific accreditation. We would be the first city in Ireland. I think there's only 2 other cities who are embarking. Well, one has received it and the other is very close to receiving the accreditation. But there's a lot of training involved in the UNICEF process for both the cross-statutory team, which includes the Education Service, Department of Justice and so forth. The children themselves are champions themselves. There are assessment visits, there are access to resources. And I suppose it's bringing that international expertise and knowledge that we don't, we have one children and young persons officer. So by actually engaging with our wider partners, we're extending the capacity, we are mainstreaming into processes. And I think without the drive of UNICEF behind us, that is probably work that wouldn't be done. It gives a very, very specific focus. There are key badge areas that the children work on as part of that process. And certainly from our perspective, prior to commencing this, our children and young people's programme ran at a different level.
Chair, that begs the question then. The license and the training that you've referred to, that training and the input, that is all gratis because we pay the license to UNICEF. That is the basic question, and I appreciate that.
And at the end of this process, and I suppose people have asked the question, do you have to reaccredit? But it's a sustainability plan. So when we've got to the end of this process, there's a corporate commitment that we deliver sustainable activity. For example, things like child's rights impact assessments and the general work that we do. So that's hopefully clarification, members.
Thank you, Karen. Councillor, do you still want done, or did that explain?
No, that's grand. I was just going to summarise just what Karen was saying for Alderman Hussey. But I suppose just to summarise that, it puts us on the map. It makes us stand out, and opportunities and doors will open because of that. And I think the relationship and the partnership with UNICEF will create more relationships and partnerships. So
Thank you, Aisling. Okay, item number 9 is the LIFE project update, and Seamus is going to take us through that.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be brief. So the purpose of the report is to update members on the progress of the LIFE project. Members, you'll be aware, since 2017, all service users who registered a birth, death, marriage have been gifted a tree sapling to mark the occasion. The project aligns with wider council commitments on sustainability and climate, and public health literature appropriate to each LIFE event is also provided to the service users. Members of the project has been supported by a number of partners, including North West Regional College, PHA, Conservation Volunteers and Woodland Trust. And it's recommended that you continue to support the work of the project with continued financial assistance of £4,000 per annum. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Seamus. Councillor Boggs?
Good Chair, and thank you, Seamus, for the report. And like the last time that we received an update in relation to the LIFE project, more than happy to continue to support that as well, and happy to propose the recommendation. I suppose the only thing that I would ask, Seamus, is the last time that we discussed this, there was some concern raised by councillors on the committee that there were some people who had not received their tree, and I know we've done a bit of work to rectify that at one of the meetings. You know, extra trees were brought on that were able to be taken to people then who maybe hadn't received one. I'm just wondering, has there been any work done since then to make sure that that discrepancy has been fixed, and that everybody who is entitled to a tree through whatever they're registering receives one?
Through you, Chair. Yes, Councillor Boggs. I suppose the difficulty started around COVID, where the service users were unable to actually call and collect the tree saplings. But we have been liaising with the service users who have subsequently requested a tree sapling, and we're happy to provide tree saplings to anyone who hasn't received it in the past. And there has been a number of queries, and they have been addressed.
Thanks, Seamus. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Farrell?
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and thanks, Seamus, for the report. Happy to support the recommendation or second the recommendation on behalf of the SDLP. We think it's a wise investment to mark all these LIFE events for a relatively small sum of money. But do we have any understanding of why PHA have removed the funding contribution?
Through you, Chair, we haven't actually got confirmation as to the reason why. I suspect it's probably because it's such a small amount of money, and they felt that council would probably continue with the project.
Thank you, Seamus. Okay, so Councillor Duffy?
Just on a note, I was looking at the tree that was gifted to us yesterday, and it's blooming. So it's lovely to have, I have to say.
Councillor Duffy was really delighted about it blooming. I can vouch for her. All right, that's great. So proposed by Councillor Boggs, seconded by Councillor Farrell. We're going to go open for information then, and we'll just take them one at a time, and just stop me if you want to come in. So item 10. Item 11.
Councillor Boggs, Chair.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Boggs.
Just on item 11 is the DACT update. Am I right? Yes.
Item number 11. Sorry, Councillor Boggs, your sound isn't great.
Okay, I'll be brief then, Chair, but just to thank Seamus for the update. Hopefully you can hear that. And I think it's invaluable that we have that information. So just thanks for bringing it forward following the last meeting.
That's great, Councillor Boggs. Thank you. Item number 12. 13. Alderman Hussey.
Thank you, Chair. It's a declaration of interest, which is already in my register of interest, but its licence is First Catholic Presbyterian Church, I declare an interest as a member of committee. And Castleton, I declare an interest as the proprietor.
Thank you, Councillor Hussey. Item number 14. 15. 16.
Sorry, Chair. Item 15.
Sorry, Councillor Boggs, I missed you there. Go ahead.
You're okay. Just, Chair, in relation to the correspondence from the department and from the RAISE panel, I welcome that they're willing to come back or looking to come back and engage with councils, because the last time that they were here, they were met with some strong criticism from elected members. So I welcome that they're coming back, because I think it'll be interesting to see how they have taken the criticism on board and whether they have used it to shape the programme going forward, particularly in areas like we had highlighted. And I think I already know the answers, is that they haven't taken the criticism on board in the way that some of us would have liked. So I welcome forward to the meeting being scheduled. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Boggs. Just to clarify, do you want them in person or virtually?
I would propose that we have them in person, Chair.
In person, no problem. Thank you, Paul. Alderman Hussey?
Commission Chair to go back to item 14 just to comment.
Just make sure we're done with 15 first. Anybody else on 15? No, we're happy enough. Go on ahead, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. Just I welcome the ongoing process there with regard to temporary licence for street trading. I know, having been involved in the organisation of some events around my own area, the difficulties that event organisers have with the current system of licensing for street trading. And a particular issue, of course, is a street trading licence in the city here for an event is exactly, more or less in exactly the same way as a street trading licence would be in Castleberg or Newton Stewart. And you're talking about a completely different footfall in those events, but that doesn't impact on the cost. So I welcome that this is being looked at and hope that the issues around that will be looked at. And I see that there's still a need for full equality impact on rural needs assessment to be conducted. And that, I think, will encompass the issues that I am mentioning now. But I welcome that that's ongoing and look forward to the continuation of that process to see how we can adjust our trading licenses, temporary trading licenses for smaller events that exist throughout the district beyond the urban areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Hussey. Item number 16. 17. All right, can I have a proposer and seconder for confidential? Proposed Councillor Boyle, seconded Alderman Montgomery.